A Gatorade shower for the Guardians on Wednesday night, and champagne showers for a Guardians farm system team on Wednesday night as well.
Tanner Bobby the Guardians, and you're listening to Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show today. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today.
On today's Locked On Guardians, a improbable walk-off win for the Guardians. They just keep showing up. They keep finding ways. We'll talk about that. If the Guardians are going to get a Josh Naylor heater here at the right time, who else do the Guardians need to get hot? And we'll get into that championship victory in Eastlake tonight. Congrats to the Lake County Captains. Their second championship in franchise history. Another Guardians farm team hanging a trophy and drinking some champagne. Most of them, anyway. Not all of them. We'll talk about some that aren't
legal.
I shouldn't be drinking champagne, but some will be. Most.
Yep. Hello out there. I am Jeff Ellis, one of your two co-hosts, one of the original Locked On baseball hosts. Before that, I was a national reporter at Scout 24/7, focused on prospects in the draft. Yesterday, I was 64. In honor of in 1964, the mayor of Seattle publicly admitted that he was trying to bring the Cleveland Indians at the time to there. There was a meeting that included Oakland and Dallas in 1964 about moving the baseball team. I thought that was a weird bit of history. And today I am your well, actually, we're going to change this. I'm going to say I'm your 41st favorite blogger at every Cleveland sports blog that has or will exist.
You used 41 not long ago, and I said for Victor Martinez or Carlos Santana. I suppose it won't be that, but we'll see what it is on Monday. So stay tuned for that. I'm Justin Latta. I just celebrated 2 years at Lockdown. Believe it or not, it was just a couple days ago. It was 2 years. Everybody kept me around for 2 years. Jeff kept me around for 2 years, so I appreciate that. I've been covering the Guardians minor league system since 2007 for Guardians Baseball Insider. I was the editor-in-chief for a couple of years, and now at the News Herald and the Morning Journal, where I was also at when I covered the Captains Championship in 2010. So 14 years apart when they were still a low-A affiliate. Saw that one. I think this team is just a little bit better than that 2010 team. The 2010 team was a very interesting group of guys, a little bit older, lower level system at the point, and the biggest name on that team was Jason Knapp. And I think the only two guys that made it to the majors from that team were Danny Salazar was there for a minute. Roberto Perez was there. He made it. Obviously, Tyler Holt was there. He made it. But like the biggest names in that team were like Jason Knapp. So, yeah.
Number one player in the Cliff Lee deal.
Indeed. Yeah. And one of those guys is still pitching somehow, believe it or not. Well, he was pitching until this week, unfortunately. Happy trails to Carlos Carrasco. But hey, shout out to our guys in Lake County. I know we've got a big contingency out there who listen to the show every morning. So I hope they're all fresh and ready to go as they're listening to this in the morning from the offices after the win last night. That'll be a lot of fun to celebrate. We'll get into some of those things going on, but interesting team all year long, I will say, in Lake County. And, at some point we'll have to get into how much winning in the minors matters because we haven't really had the discussion yet. And I think maybe today will be a good time for that discussion. We'll get into it later. Let's get into first the Guardians walk-off win on Wednesday night. I throughout that game, I started to feel shades of Monday. I said, okay, they kept it close. They weren't really hitting early on, like Monday night against Pablo Lopez. And I kept thinking they were going to come back. And they sort of did, thanks to Josh Naylor. I did not see them. I thought they were going to walk it off in the ninth inning. They brought Class A in, and I was like,
which is the right call. That is 100% the right call.
Get the game to extra innings and
just with his pitching style. He is better when there's because he can have random weak contact that falls in. So we've talked about that before. Like he is always better as in extras. You want to go to someone who maybe has more of a K rate, doesn't have as many like random moments. So I think Class A in the ninth was a good call.
Yeah, unfortunately, Hunter Gaddis just did not. I mean, to be fair, Hunter Gaddis was 0-2 on Carlos Correa. He left the slider a little bit too high, but it broke Correa's bat, and he had like 80 miles an hour. So it wasn't like Correa smoked it, but he just got it. enough of it to score those runs. But the problem was the bases were loaded already, and he was up 0-2 on Correa, and he didn't put him away. So
yeah,
I couldn't believe they came back. Honestly, I was like, well, this is good. Bases loaded, nobody out in the 10th inning. Your win probability, the run probability is sky high for the team in that case. So never great. But yeah, it was the right call to go to Class A there because you got to get the game to the 10th inning, like you said. With runners on, you want someone who strikes a few more guys out and get the 2 runs and shut it down after that, I guess. And credit to the Guardians for battling back. All the decisions in the 9th inning or the 10th inning worked out. I didn't think Josh Naylor, of all people, who had the 2 home runs to even tie the game in the first place, was going to score on a base hit from Kyle Manzardo, which was the right call to pinch hit him there. I like that.
He's been playing well.
Yeah, Bo Naylor had a really good at bat. I know he struck out, but Bo Naylor, it looked like both the times he was going to come through that. I mean, he had a couple really hard hit balls.
He did. He had 2. Yeah, he's jumping in front of him. That's pulling him foul. I mean, he's still
down to 3-2.
Yeah, and then he swung a ball 4. It's just, I mean, the rate he's hitting 202 right now. Like the bottom of that lineup is an issue, but it came through today. Like Rocchio was up there after being it's hard for my go-to word is calling someone the GOAT of the game, but now that's not what it means. Like a GOAT can be the best and the worst.
Right.
So, he found redemption. Like it's kind of an amazing moment when you think about it. It's like, if he doesn't botch it in the first, Tanner gets this win and it's a 2-1 game. Instead, he's sitting up there in the 9th.
That run was it was an earned run. It would have scored anyway because he gave another hit. So ended up being an earned run.
Either way, it's like he had the bad play and he was up there with the chance to get the golden sombrero, and he doesn't hit it hard, but he hits it where he needs to. And after having a rough game to come through like that, that's great. Hopefully, he's been so inconsistent and so up and down. And we were a week ago giving him praise, and now it's been now he's struggling to hit 200 again. So the ups and downs, he's been every bit a rookie. But
yeah,
he
he's got 110 WRC plus the last 30 days, which for all this team struggles. We'll get into the offense.
Yeah. But yeah, he deserves a lot of credit. I mean, he came through in that moment. He made contact, which is all you needed. So, good job on Rocchio. He put it. You just can't make contact on the infield. You got it out of the infield, and then
he bounced it. It didn't get out of the infield. It would have.
Fair enough.
Let's be fair. In a normal defense, that ball would have been a ground out to end the inning. But with 2 outs and with the bases loaded, they brought runners on first and third. They brought the
1 out, right?
In that,
because
there was 2 outs. Bo Naylor was the second out.
Okay.
Just had to get the ball in the air at that point. But yeah, so
I was watching
it is what it is.
Very little corner of my phone at the end of bedtime there. So it was hard to track everything, but yeah, at the end they still won. You and I both thought it was going to be over after the first part. So it's we guaranteed series split, and then the Tigers helped out, and it's been a really weird final month of the year.
It's been a very weird month. But the Guardians, though, I think are 11-6 this month so far in September.
Sounds right. Yeah, weren't they 10? They were 10-5 last time we recorded, so that'd make them 11-6.
Yeah, they're 11-6 in the month of September so far with a run differential of 13 right now, which you'll take. That's pretty good. You'll take that. Will Brennan also got a hit in that 9th inning too, which was key. You and I were texting back and forth about that decision there. I'm not going to get into the John Kenzie Noel thing tonight because I know people are just going to get mad because they don't like when we talk about Noel and his struggles, and they won the game. So we'll avoid that. But that was the 100% the right call given what happened to Noel that night. Will Brennan got the big hit, the RBI. Will Brennan's at bats, I will say, have been pretty good lately. He laid off a slider in the dirt to get that hit. And then, same with Bo Naylor. Like I said, I know he swung a ball 4, but his at bats were better.
It was also funny to see like the exact same play, but effective this time. Like, okay, Manzardo gets a single. We're gonna now pinch hit him for Straw, and having the extra speed helped. Like having the speed in that situation helped get that tying, run across likely. So it paid off today after we were. But again, it's in the 10th inning as opposed to earlier in the game. but it is funny after railing against it yesterday to see it be successful today. And that's, again, baseball.
Yeah, it is. And he didn't try to steal second base, which was important because honestly,
Yeah.
in that situation, if you get thrown out, you kill the rally, you kill your chance to win. So I think it was the right call also for him not to
Agreed.
to run. Let's talk about Tanner Bivey's good start. We'll talk about Josh Naylor's heater. Who else the Guardians need to get hot as we end the regular season. And we'll get into some of the top performances from the Captain's Championship win on Wednesday night, all coming up. Some new friends here on Locked On MLB or Locked On Podcast Network. For all of us who like collecting cards, the idea of spending $2,000 or more on a Luka card, Ellie, Mahomes rookie card, all those big ones that are going right now that everybody wants, it's just not in the cards for a lot of us. I love collecting. I've got so many cards. They're sitting over somewhere. My wife would like me to get rid of some of them, honestly. But I don't know. I got bad news for Arena Club is here. Thanks to Slab Packs from Arena Club, it is now possible to score gem mints for a fraction of the retail price. I got a lot of friends who also love collecting cards. They're always telling me which cards they're getting in packs. Arena Club is the way to go for that. The only repack that provides real value, a complete view of all possible cards and clear hit rates for each ones. Just talk about a lot of transparency. That's so big when you're buying these packs, right? Arena Club slab packs are revolutioning the repack game with transparency. After all your pulls are revealed, they'll immediately be placed in your showroom, safekeeping, selling, trading, or at auction. And the Arena Club grading process is accurate, fast, and again, transparent with a full grade rationale, provide an explanation of how your card was scored. So if you're buying, selling, trading, or displaying, Arena Club is the card collecting platform you have to check out right now. You can get 10% off your first slab pack card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/LockedOnMLB, all one word at the end there, all lowercase. Use code LockedOnMLB. That's arenaclub.com/LockedOnMLB. Code LockedOnMLB, all lowercase. 10% off your first purchase of Arena Club slab packs. Check out our pal Sully over at Locked On MLB after you're done listening to this podcast. I am sure he'll be talking about the surging Tigers who just helped out the Guardians quite a bit, sweeping the Royals of all people. He might have to talk about the Red Sox falling apart because that is his team. I know he's doing a lot of coverage of the Oakland A's who are entering their final days as the Oakland A's. So whatever you want around baseball, our pal Sully has it with a good twist of humor and always daily trivia, by the way. Always good daily trivia over at Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It would be great to get another day like Josh Naylor had on Wednesday night for the Guardians. 2 home runs. I tweeted over 800 feet of home runs for Josh Naylor on 843, I think it was. It was a lot of home runs. He hit the first ball 445 feet. It was a heck of a blast. And that was still much needed for Josh Naylor and the Guardians, right? Because the last 30 days, I know shout out to our friend Lamole, who I don't know, the crap talking theory worked for him. He posted some stats earlier on Wednesday about Josh Naylor. He posted some things about Brian Rocchio, and those two guys won the game for the Guardians. So over there, just kind of motivating and taking one for the team. So shout out over there. Josh Naylor, the last 30 days coming into Wednesday, 235, 310, 363, 92 WRC plus, which close to league average is good for this team, but for a first baseman and a guy who's hitting cleanup for you, it's not good enough. So he had 2 home runs in this one. In the 10th inning, ninth inning, they desperately wanted to walk him, or they were trying to walk him.
Yeah.
And he let him off the hook in the ninth inning, I will say. He got it to 3-1, I want to say. And then he took a rip the next 2 pitches. And then 3-2 was a ball. I think 3-1 was a strike. 3-2 was a ball. But it doesn't matter. He had the 2 home runs. They wouldn't have been there without him. It's hard to say who like the most important. There's not really one most important hitter for the Guardians going into October.
I still think it's Jose because he has struggled every bit as much.
Last 30 days for Jose, 257, 328, 413. It's a 105. So I wouldn't say every bit as much, but like it's not Jose level standards, obviously. They do need him to be peak level Jose in the playoffs, no doubt. I mean, everybody, we said this the other day in the podcast. If every day you heard us talk about this, they need 4 guys at any given time, right? They need Quan, who we'll talk about in a second. They need Jose. They need Naylor. And they probably need one of Manzardo, one of the Naylors, Thomas, Jimenez and maybe Noel. One of those guys. They need the big three. That's their big three, and they need one of the fourth guys to step up, and then maybe a fifth. I don't know. That might be enough. I question how much that is, if that's going to provide enough. It's one thing to walk it off against the Twins, who have just had a very weird and bad second half. Yeah, or bad, I guess, August, September. Playoff pitching, the Twins may not make the playoffs at all, honestly, but it'll depend what the Guardians can do in October. But I think it would go a long way if Josh Naylor can get on a heater and start doing this more often. I don't know. I think that's the one guy in this lineup that consistently, besides Jose, can provide game-changing power and runs, because I know some people will say Jhonkensy Noel. For all of Josh Naylor's struggles, he does not have Jhonkensy Noel's chase issues. So the one guy who is capable of changing the game with one swing consistently outside of Jose is Josh Naylor. So, and honestly, I kind of think Naylor is more important than Jose in some ways, because Jose's Jose. Teams are going to try to pitch around him in the postseason, right? They're not going to let, if possible, they can prevent it. They will pitch around Jose, and they will see if he gets himself out, which sometimes he does this year, especially. But if he doesn't, because they'd rather pitch to Naylor, that makes it more important, doesn't it? If they're going to pitch around Jose, they got to have the guy behind him protecting him. And that's Josh Naylor.
Yeah, it's one of those things like I just kind of sit back and go, is it Naylor? Is it like a world where Bo can turn into the guy he was a year ago? There's so many guys, because it's been such an inconsistent team and so many struggles. Yeah, it's a weird situation. Josh felt like he was lost, and then he has this huge game, but nothing will fix things for Josh Naylor like facing the Minnesota Twins
or Chicago White Sox.
Yeah,
but that won't happen in October.
No. What do you mean? Why not? White Sox. I think White Sox
they gotta win a lot of games between now and next week to make that happen. Meaning adding days to the calendar. Like, they might have to play 100 games in the next 2 weeks.
I think they have to invent a time machine.
Well, the time machine might not go back to the beginning of the season. If the White Sox build a time machine, I think they're going to want to go back and unscrew everything they did by hiring Tony La Russa. I think that's where their problem started. Just another resilient performance. I will say, though, that's the one thing about this team right now is, if you're looking for signs of life or signs of positivity or just some confidence going into the postseason, this team gave up 2 runs in the top half of the 10th inning. They couldn't score against Bailey Ober to lead off the game, the whole game. Changeups continue to be kryptonite for them. They keep hanging around, man. Like, they were losing on Monday until Kyle Manzardo came up and hit a bomb, and Josh Naylor carried them for a little bit tonight. Tanner Bybee was excellent all night. Had some bad defense behind him and some 2 or 3 bloop hits. I think he gave 2 hard hits all night. So Tanner didn't get a whole lot of luck defensively or BABIP wise, but he was great the whole night. Deserved to win that game, but they hung around. They were in the game. And if any time I think Cleveland's tied, right? I think if they're tied and their bullpen comes out, I think you feel pretty good about their chances to at least hang around and have a chance to win, because the bullpen's always going to keep it close or tied. I think I saw a tweet on Wednesday where they haven't lost a game where they've led after the 8th inning or in 365 days now, which is crazy. But if this team is within striking distance, the offense isn't always pretty, but if you hand a tie game or lead to the bullpen, you've got a pretty good chance to win, because they're not going to give up any runs. Like, they might give up 1 or 2 max.
Yeah, last year they led the majors. They're tied with the Rockies with 35 blown saves. This year they have the best. They're tied with someone for the lowest. It was 34 a year ago, and now it's 15. So it's a 19 game difference. They are up 12 wins more from this year to last year. If they get 7 more wins, then you can almost look at it as a direct correlation. Blown saves 1 year, worst team in baseball, 2 blown saves, best team in baseball. It's just, which is not just Class A. That's the whole pen. That is that 7th, 8th, It's all of those guys in the pen and just how good. Again, I think, one of our commenters, I wish I remember who it was. It's like, I think we are going to look back and be like, oh my God, this pen, like this is, you look back at the 95 lineup. This is going to be like when I make my all-time lifetime Guardians team, it's going to be this bullpen.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if you think the 95 lineup was the best offense this team's ever had, this bullpen is the pitching equivalent of the 95 lineup. That's pretty insane 100%. To think about. Speaking of one of those guys, Cade Smith, 100 strikeouts this year. That was his goal coming into the year, apparently. And again, the guy who almost wasn't on the team on opening day, and just an undrafted free agent in 2020, was drafted by the Twins out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
By the way,
probably would have gotten more money then.
Oh man, yeah, the Twins are probably kicking themselves for that one right now,
especially because they could offer so little in the 2020 draft. Like I'm sure the Twins offered him more than 20K.
They probably did, but I think the Guardians will have to spend some money and get him to a nice contract. Although he doesn't hit arbitration for a while and is not going to save any games, which won't raise his value in arbitration, unfortunately. So give him like a Trevor Stephan type deal, get him some money and keep him healthy, hopefully. 100 strikeouts in 73 innings this year. I just saw a tweet from Zach Meisel about that. He's the fastest Cleveland reliever to ever do it because Paul Shuey had 103 in 81 innings. Sid Monge, 108 in 131 innings.
Former number 2 overall draft pick, the previous before Travis Bazzana, highest drafted, went tied for the record for highest drafted player in Cleveland Guardians history. Paul Shuey, reliever with the second overall pick. Again, yes, he was a reliever in college. That's what they did.
He threw 131 innings in 1979. He had 108 strikeouts, and then Dave LaRoche in 1976, 3 years before, 104 strikeouts in 96 innings. So Cade Smith going to blow all that away before the end of the year. So congrats to Cade Smith, who was at one time a Lake County captain. We're going to get into some captains and minor league talk here coming up shortly.
But first, let's talk about our good friends over at FanDuel. And FanDuel's got a special deal for you. Right now, FanDuel is giving you a chance to watch out-of-market teams. If it's for fantasy or if you're someone like me who does not live in market with your sports teams. So you want to listen close because America's number one sportsbook, FanDuel, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5, just $5, and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Where can you get for $5 3 weeks of anything? That's 3 games you get to watch. If you're just doing out of market for your team, but hundreds for out of market for fantasy. Then with YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com. Download America's number one sportsbook.
Guardians and Twins one more time in 2024 at 140. No, is it 140 on Thursday? On today? Let's see. It's got my times wrong. I'm all thrown off. It's 110. So 110. Search Guardians on your SiriusXM app to listen to all the action as Joey Cantillo looks to make it 3 of 4 against the Twins and maybe solidify his spot in the postseason for the Guardians, which we're going to talk about the roster tomorrow. I will be. Very quickly before we move on to stuff from the Lake County Captains Championship on Wednesday. We got Josh Naylor hitting 2 home runs. I think we want to see more of that consistently. That would be a great sign. What are some other things from the Guardians? Like, give me 3 things that you want to see from the Guardians that are going to give you that you need to see from them heading into the postseason. What 3 things do you need to see from them? Give you some confidence in the ALDS.
Nick Sandlin and Miles Straw not being on the roster. And no Tristan McKenzie either, because I don't want to bring up a guy who hasn't pitched in the majors in 2 months.
Okay, that's what you don't want to see. What do you want to see? That's what you don't want to see.
What do I want to see? I want to see more opportunities for Manzardo in general, so we can see if it is worth having him on this roster. He's had a big series. I want to give him more of those opportunities to step up. I want to continue to see more of Walters and Morgan. Like maybe don't lean on your big three as much. Give these two guys continued opportunities to see if they can be also back end options for your team with their performance. Like expand the top shelf of your pen. Because I mean, if you have 5 guys that are even remote, like 6 guys, because I keep living off Heron. It's a 5 and fly situation. And then lastly, I just want to see a little more consistency offensively. Like, I was sitting there tracking Lane Thomas. He's been up and down again. I mean, everyone in this lineup has been so up and down. I just want to see some level of consistency. I think every day Dave has been so mad at us because we don't respect this offense, but it's hard to respect this offense because consistency has never been there all year. And they do have good players. Just the lack of consistency means you have like 2 guys performing well and 7 performing poorly.
Yeah, you're not wrong about the offense. That's why I said Josh Naylor's 2 home runs on Wednesday were big, because I think you want to see more of that from him. He needs to get hot going into the playoffs. I think health is the first thing. I mean, everybody's going to say that, right? I think you want to see. Yeah, apparently you don't care about anybody's health. Way to go, Jeff. You're just a jerk.
I just look at the team where it is.
You're so selfish.
They're healthy enough.
Well, I mean, Quan. I think you want to see Quan come off the IL as soon as he's able to, which is Tuesday. Back in the lineup and hopefully hitting. Alex Cobb, I think you want to see at least 1 healthy start from Alex Cobb before the ALDS, just to be sure and make sure his fingers are all still attached and all the skin is attached, all the fingernails are attached.
Make sure he's not Adam Miller part 2.
Yeah. I do want. I'm with you on the bullpen things. I want to see more opportunities for Walters, because apparently, and this is what I was told by Guardians Director of Player Development Rob Cerfolio back in April. We were talking about Andrew Walters and them challenging him at AA, and they said, "Well, we talked to Andrew about, and he does this for all players. They talked to them about, like talking to Stephen Vogt, how each guy would be used in the majors. They talked to Vogt about how he would use Andrew Walters in the majors, right? And they want to put him through that in the minors to make sure he's prepared for everything he would go through in the majors, so he's ready for those challenges." And apparently one of those things was not back-to-back days, I guess, or they just decided to wait on that. Andrew Walters never pitched back-to-back days in the minors in his career, which was all of 4 months this year. And then he did it twice in his first week up in the majors. So apparently that was not one of the boxes to check. So, file that away for things we have to consider when it comes to Guardians development, that sometimes that's not always a deal breaker. Anyway, so I want to see more of Walters, obviously. I guess more back-to-backs because it works for him. Definitely more Eli Morgan. I agree with you there. When Cobb comes back, I actually would like to see a Joey Cantillo bullpen outing. I would, just to see how that goes, because I think I like that role for him. So, yeah, more health, more bullpen guys doing that thing. Yeah, and I guess more Manzardo. I want to see more Manzardo. I want to see him. You're not going to play him against lefties. Him and Fry are a good platoon DH-wise. So more opportunities for Manzardo. So he's ready, because he's going to be someone you're going to count on in the postseason. Who are the captains?
I should have mentioned Quan. That was my one after you saying. I blew that one. That's the one thing I should have mentioned.
I mean, without a healthy Quan, and again, you're not going to get 400 hitting Quan ever again, probably. No one's ever going to do it, but they just need league average Quan. They need league average Quan at the top of that order, because it gives Jose opportunities. It gives Josh Naylor opportunities.
League average in that outfield has been something that we have been lacking for like a decade. Like, that's just the sad truth of the matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully some of that comes to an end eventually. I don't know if any of the outfielders, I mean, hey, Jonah Advincula, I don't know if he's the guy
who's going to end
that, but what a series for him. Yeah. He said on Tuesday, he had a go-ahead home run in the 3rd inning to put the Captains up 3-2, and he told me after the game, he's like, I've never hit a home run like that before, a go-ahead home run in his life. Seemed like he was just very unused to the spotlight, so hopefully he'll get more used to that. He had a game-tying home run again on Wednesday in Lake County to tie the game up. A lot of big performances from Lake County. He had Ralphie Velasquez, who, I was watching last night, and I was watching Tuesday night, and he was just having a very hard time getting around on the ball, and he was just hitting everything to left field, weak pop-ups, weak fly balls. And he has enough strength to hit it hard opposite field, but he just was not making good contact. And I was like, man, I don't know if he's tired. It's a long season. The bat speed's slowing down, or if he's got a hitch in his swing, whatever, but not pulling the ball, not driving it at all. But he had 2 huge hits in this series. He had the go-ahead this series, the playoffs in general. He had the go-ahead or the game-tying double in Dayton last week when the Captains were down to their final strike. And then he had a huge 3-run homer that I'm going to say they didn't have the official distance in Lake County on Wednesday, but it cleared one of their billboard signs in right field, which is well over 400 feet. So it was an absolutely titanic blast. Jake Fox hit a home run. Angel Hanau. We talked about Ralphie. We talked about, Bazana, who had a great series as well. Angel Hanau might have been the best player in Lake County all year on both sides of the ball. Another double. He had 2 hits, another double in this one, and a single. He walked 3 times, which I've always been concerned about his, Cleveland loves these guys who are aggressive swingers and make a lot of contact. Angel Hanau.
We don't need to talk about their personal lives. Oh.
Lockdown Guardians after dark for another time. Don't listen to this in the car with your kids at this point, but Angel Hanau, man, whatever he can do whatever he wants if he keeps swinging it like that, man. He had 2 doubles on Tuesday in the win and a double on Wednesday, and I think he's the best player I've seen in the Guardian system all season.
In that game to me, I think, looking at like stats, is 2 guys who kind of stood out because of what they overcame, and one is Hanau, because last year was 2 years ago he was a borderline top 10 guy, and then last year was struggles, and what a bounce back year for him. And then the other one is the starter, who I really liked coming out of school, and then he just kept getting hurt. And I'm not going to steal your thunder about what he was velocity wise tonight, but 4 2/3 for DeLuca, 1 walk, 3 hits, 5 Ks. He's been back like a month, I want to say, maybe 2. They drafted him
2 months.
Few years, 2 months, and he missed like a year and a half, right, of minor league baseball, it feels like. Mm-hmm. And he was a really interesting player. He got overused in the College World Series. He was a hero for Ole Miss when they won it, I believe. But he's a really interesting arm who is healthy, who he's not a top 10 guy. He's not going to be a top 20 guy for me, but he's close. I got to at least think about it. And that's what the guy who's only pitched for 2 months.
Yeah, I actually did just start my document today for my top 10 prospects by position series I do every offseason, and I don't know where I have DeLucia yet. I will say my top right-handed starter is Austin Peterson.
Agreed.
DeLucia definitely will be in the top 10 of.
So you're going to put him ahead of Doughty?
Ooh, that's a conversation for another day.
Sorry.
That's a very good question. No, you're right. It's a good call. Just it's a conversation we don't have time
Doughty,
for
Oki,
today.
and Peterson are kind of the top tier if I'm breaking it down.
Yeah,
they got that.
DeLucia's definitely in the top 10 right now for sure, among right-handed starters. Maybe top 10 starting pitcher in the system. But yeah, our buddy Mike from Lake County was saying that he was hitting 96, 97 in Dayton last week when he pitched against Dayton. And tonight on Wednesday night, he was hitting 92, 94 and hitting 96, which is a big step up for DeLucia, who most of my looks at DeLucia this year were 90, 92, topping out at 94 at times.
That's what he was at college.
He was holding it a little more in this one. And I'm sure adrenaline had a lot to do with it too. Obviously, it's the biggest game he's pitched in since the College World Series 3 years ago, or 2 years ago at this point. But he's a bit, and that tells you he's a big game guy, I guess, right? If he can bring out the best in the biggest moments, that's a great sign for him, because he was, like you said, he was on the mound, I think, for the Rebels when they won the championship that year.
He pitched a lot of innings in that postseason run for them.
They abused the heck out of him. Yeah, I looked it up last time. I think his final 4 appearances, I think he threw over 110 pitches in each of his final 4 outings. So yeah, they abused the heck out of him in college, which is why he had Tommy John, which is why he's only pitching now. But he was on the mound for the Captains in the biggest game of the year and the final game of the year. And look, some of that has to do with they need to just have guys around for pitch when they do. They're still on a rotation to some point, but he was the guy who was up, and they played it out that way. But he had a great performance for them. He threw a lot of pitches early, but the stuff is interesting for sure. So good game by him. Jake Fox had a home run. He had a couple big hits in this one. I was looking for more from Jake Fox most of this year, but
it's also nice to see Rapp. Speaking of guys who have been hurt and coming back.
Yeah. I've been waiting for Fox to come around all year, and he did in this series. Yeah, Rapp was on the mound for the final out, which is great for a guy we thought was going to be lost for the season of Tommy John. So good to see him back. I would expect to see him in the Arizona Fall League. But yeah, fun group in Lake County. I mean, like I said, I tweeted this earlier. I said between Bazana and Al, Tugboat, Engel throughout the year, they got Ralphie, CJ Kathis. I'm trying to go through my whole list here. Messick was there this year. Mooney was right in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
You had Parker Messick, who was great for them and great in Akron. They might have had the best collection of talent in the system all year. From beginning to the end.
I don't think it's debatable. I think it is. I think it's a statement of fact. Like looking at that lineup, looking who's gone through, but even just looking at the end of the year, there's not a lot of guys who aren't at least competitive for discussion. Like I look at that lineup, and the only guy who's really I wouldn't be discussing as a top 30 at least candidate was probably Esteban Gonzalez. Like that's it for me. Everyone else in there has some degree. I mean, yeah, Evan Kula is probably not going to get there, but like I'm paying attention to Evan Kula. I'm paying attention to Fox. Like those guys won't be top 30, but at least they're on the radar, like there's not a lot of times you see an entire lineup that is on your prospect radar.
Yeah. And the pitching staff. I mean, we just talked about Lucia being there. Tugboat is in there. They had Peterson at one point. Messick, those guys are all in there. Yeah, Rapp's an interesting reliever as well. Yeah. So
then Home was down there, who we've talked about. Driver, we've talked about. Magnus Ellerts was there, and he might be the top relief prospect in like the main tier guys.
I hope Nate Furman gets himself a Midwest League championship ring because he was part of that first half championship. Landed the Guardians Alex Cobb, so deserves that.
Yeah.
So shout out to all of our friends in Lake County. Enjoy that win and. Hope you're all avoiding drink some liquid IV.
Yeah,
on Thursday at the offices, everybody. Shout out to I know we've shouted him a couple times, but every day or Siege with me. I know he listens to us every day. He's been in town since last week when we did the Lockdown Guardians meetup on Tuesday at Lake County or Wednesday, whatever day it was. Last Thursday. And he's hanging around until the Guardians are eliminated from the playoffs. So that might be another month. Could be another. 6 weeks, so he's hanging around. So saw them again on Wednesday night at Lake County or Tuesday night at Lake County. That was pretty cool. So shout out to all of them and friends. Yeah, good stuff. Shout out to all our friends in Lake County. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow. We're gonna give Jeff a well-deserved day off. Then we'll talk about if Joey Cantillo takes another step towards a playoff roster spot. Do the Guardians hurt the Twins further? Do they kick them out of the playoff spot? We'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll look ahead to the playoff schedule because there's some interesting scheduling going on there with days off. We'll talk about how that might work. And we'll talk about the playoff roster and Nick Sandlin should be on there. If Miles Straw should be on there. All the guys that Jeff hates. And then Akron also needs a win to keep their playoff chances going. And also shout out in Columbus. Columbus is playoff bound. 3 of the 4 Guardians affiliates this year are going to the playoffs. And not that this matters, but Alex Clemmy was part of a championship team in Fredericksburg for the Nationals. He pitched and lost, but he only gave 3 runs. He struck out 9 and 4 in the third, and Rafael Ramirez didn't play in the series, oddly enough. So, but hey, 3 out of 4 ain't bad for Cleveland. And then 4 out of 4 or 4 out of 5 when the Guardians clinch, which they're down to 4 next week. We'll get into that.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's it's what made very close to the Meatloaf song. Don't feel bad. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I can't remember how that goes. Thank you to everyone who got the Captain Planet reference. I may not even be him. I don't know, but I want to thank everyone who got the Captain Planet reference. I think we had about 10 people commenting, so I appreciate that one. That was pretty fun to get to throw those out there. Thank you all for, as always, joining us, enjoying our craziness, our fun. Hope you had fun, learned something, and just continue to have a good time. We appreciate each and every one of you. Remember to rate and review, do all those things that help, and go Guardians, go.